crown didn't just crack when Meghan Markle entered the royal family, it ignited a silent celebrity rebellion that nobody saw coming. And behind the polished smiles, private jets, and glittering wedding applause, a shocking list of powerful names were quietly turning their backs on her. Names who once stood beside her, defended her, and even opened their homes to her until something happened that changed everything forever. Because here's the part nobody talks about openly. Meghan Markle didn't just marry into royalty, she walked straight into a battlefield of egos, secrets, and silent betrayals, and the first crack appeared in a place nobody expected, inside the mansion of a man who was practically family to Harry, long before Meghan ever existed in his world. Elton John wasn't just another celebrity guest at the royal wedding, he was part of Princess Diana's inner circle, a man Harry trusted with his life, a man who saw Harry grow up through grief, through heartbreak, through loneliness, and when Harry brought Meghan into his world, Elton welcomed her, like she was already part of his extended family. But what happened next would shatter that trust so deeply that their relationship would never recover.
He writes, "I am deeply distressed by today's distorted and malicious account in the press surrounding the Duke and Duchess of Sussex's private stay at my home in Nice last week. Prince Harry's mother, Diana, Princess of Wales, was one of my dearest friends. I feel a profound sense of obligation to protect Harry and his family from the unnecessary press intrusion."
Behind closed doors, during what should have been a peaceful stay at Elton's luxurious estate in France, tension started brewing in ways nobody outside those walls could see. It wasn't loud at first. It wasn't explosive. It was quiet, subtle, dangerous. The kind of tension that grows slowly until it suffocates everything around it. Harry later revealed there was a clash involving Elton's book being serialized in the Daily Mail, something that created friction. But Elton was willing to forgive. He had forgiven worse. He had survived worse. But forgiveness has limits, and Meghan and Harry were about to cross a line that would permanently change how Elton saw them forever. Because what happened next wasn't just disagreement, it was betrayal. After leaving Elton's home, whispers began to circulate. Words spoken behind his back, unflattering remarks, criticism that cut deeper because it came from people he trusted. And the most chilling part, these comments were allegedly made while using Elton's own private jet, a jet rumored to have recording systems on board. Whether intentional or accidental, those words found their way back to Elton, and when he heard them, the damage was irreversible.
Surrounding the royal couple's private stay at his holiday home in the south of France last week. Harry and Meghan seen boarding this private jet with baby Archie last Tuesday after a trip to Spain on another private flight the same week.
In that moment, something inside Elton John shifted. The loyalty he had once given Harry without question evaporated. The warmth he had extended to Meghan froze into silence. And just like that, one of the most powerful allies they ever had quietly disappeared from their corner. No public screaming. No dramatic confrontation. Just distance. Cold, permanent distance. But Elton wasn't the only one watching Meghan closely. Because while she was telling her version of events to the world, another voice emerged. One that refused to stay silent. Chris Rock didn't whisper his thoughts behind palace walls. He blasted them in front of millions. During his Netflix special, he took aim directly at Meghan's most explosive claims, the accusations that shook the royal family to its core.
They're so racist, they're so racist. Some of that she went through was not racism. It was just some in-law. Because she's complaining, I'm like, they wanted to know how brown the baby was gonna be.
No, that's true, right? I even put the headline up so you guys remember this was a real issue.
Chris Rock didn't hold back. He mocked the narrative. He challenged the interpretation. He dismantled the emotional weight behind the claims with brutal honesty, saying even black families talk about how dark a baby might be, framing it not as racism, but as curiosity. And in doing so, he didn't just criticize Meghan, he exposed something deeper. He suggested she wasn't blindsided. He implied she knew exactly what she was stepping into. that she wasn't a victim of the system, she was a participant in it. And suddenly, Meghan wasn't just battling royal critics. She was facing resistance from inside Hollywood itself. Katie Hopkins took things even further. She didn't just criticize Meghan. She attacked her credibility, her lifestyle, her authenticity. She painted Meghan as the ultimate contradiction, preaching environmental responsibility while flying on private jets, preaching humility while living in luxury, preaching privacy while signing deals worth millions. In Katie's eyes, Meghan wasn't misunderstood. She was calculated, strategic, intentional. Every move part of a bigger plan. The whispers grew louder, the criticism sharper. And then Howard Stern entered the conversation. Howard Stern wasn't confused. He was furious because to him, nothing made sense. Meghan and Harry claimed they wanted privacy, yet they released deeply personal documentaries. They claimed they wanted peace, yet they stepped into the spotlight again and again. To Stern, it wasn't pain he saw, it was contradiction. He called them whiny. He questioned their motives. He even suggested their marriage itself might not survive the pressure, hinting that eventually Harry might reach a breaking point.
Meghan Markle is the biggest hypocrite there is. What does Meghan Markle do? Oh, we've got to save the planet, save the planet. Oh, do one good thing every day. Oh, blah, 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 blah. Then what does she do? Get on 4 private flights to wherever land at £400,000 a week hire, and then uses up half the CO2 emissions that anyone else might have had. It's pure hypocrisy. And what is she really? She's a no one. She's a divorcee. When did we want a divorcee in the royal family? She wears bad clothes. When did we ask for that? We've just got so much better of our own.
And just like that, the fairy tale image started to fracture. Then came the voices that cut even deeper. The ones who believed Meghan had orchestrated everything from the beginning. Erin Foster didn't hide her suspicion. She resurfaced Meghan's past, posting old photos from Deal or No Deal, implying Meghan had always been chasing something bigger. Fame, power, recognition. She joked that Meghan's briefcase didn't just hold money, it held her master plan. The blueprint for becoming royal, for becoming untouchable. The message was clear. Meghan hadn't stumbled into royalty by accident. She had arrived exactly where she intended to be. Chrissy Swan saw something else entirely, something more subtle. She didn't accuse Meghan of manipulation, she accused her of performance. She believed Meghan's humility wasn't natural, that it was constructed, designed, that every gesture, every smile, every moment was carefully controlled. Lord Alan Sugar delivered perhaps the coldest dismissal of all. When Meghan revealed her struggles with mental health, expecting sympathy, expecting understanding, he publicly questioned her story. He argued the palace had every resource available, every doctor, every solution. And in doing so, he planted a devastating seed of doubt. Was Meghan telling the truth or controlling the narrative? Even inside the palace, tensions were exploding. Queen Camilla reportedly never trusted Meghan. She saw the ambition, the independence, the unwillingness to disappear into royal duty. She believed Meghan wouldn't conform, wouldn't submit, wouldn't sacrifice her identity for the crown. And when Harry later referred to Camilla as a villain, the damage became permanent. This wasn't just family disagreement anymore, this was war. Because Meghan Markle hadn't just married into royalty, she had divided it. And while the world watched her rise, behind the scenes, allies were turning into critics, supporters into skeptics, and friends into strangers. The fairy tale wasn't ending, it was unraveling. And the most shocking part, the deepest betrayal didn't come from celebrities, it came from someone who knew Meghan long before the crown, long before the fame, long before the world knew her name. Her own past was about to come back and expose everything. The most devastating betrayal didn't explode in public. It arrived silently in a small package, cold, final, and impossible to undo. And when Trevor Engelson opened it, he wasn't looking at jewelry, he was staring at the corpse of a marriage that had been erased without warning. Without closure without mercy. Because Meghan Markle didn't just leave Trevor, she mailed back her wedding ring like it was nothing more than an expired contract, a symbol that whatever love once existed between them had been surgically removed from her life the moment something better appeared on the horizon. 10 celebrities who hate Meghan. Trevor wasn't a stranger. He wasn't a rebound. He was a man who had been there before the cameras, before the palace gates, before the world started chanting her name. He had believed in her when she was still fighting for roles, still navigating rejection, still dreaming about a future she couldn't yet see. He had supported her emotionally, professionally, personally, and yet when Meghan's ambitions began to evolve, when her world began to expand, Trevor didn't grow with her. He became disposable. According to royal biographer Andrew Morton, Trevor felt discarded, humiliated, emotionally abandoned in a way that left scars nobody could see but everyone could sense. There was no dramatic goodbye, no emotional closure, just silence, and a ring sent through the mail like a final insult disguised as a gesture of convenience. And that moment didn't just end a marriage. It created a narrative that would follow Meghan forever. Because suddenly people weren't just questioning her actions, they were questioning her loyalty, her intentions, her heart. Whispers began spreading quietly at first. People who knew her before the crown started speaking carefully, cautiously, revealing fragments of a version of Meghan the public had never seen. A version that was strategic, focused, calculating, not evil, but intentional. Someone who understood exactly what she wanted and refused to let anything stand in her way. Aaron Foster's resurfaced posts suddenly felt less like jokes and more like warnings. The old Deal or No Deal photos weren't just nostalgia, they were evidence of a woman who had been climbing step by step towards something bigger. Fame wasn't an accident, it was a destination, and marrying Prince Harry wasn't luck. It was alignment. But if Trevor's story planted doubt, what happened inside Buckingham Palace ignited something far more dangerous. Because inside those ancient walls, Meghan wasn't just facing tradition, she was facing resistance. Silent resistance. The kind that doesn't announce itself but suffocates you slowly. Queen Camilla reportedly saw it immediately. She didn't see Meghan as fragile or naive. She saw strength, independence, ambition. And to Camilla, that wasn't comforting. It was threatening. Royal life demanded submission to duty, sacrifice of personal identity, acceptance of hierarchy. But Meghan wasn't built for submission. She had spent her entire life building herself into someone visible, someone powerful, someone heard. And Camilla feared that Meghan would never fully surrender herself to the institution. Those fears deepened when Harry and Meghan stepped back from royal duties entirely. It wasn't just seen as departure, it was seen as defiance, abandonment, a rejection of everything the monarchy stood for. And when Harry publicly referred to Camilla as the villain, it wasn't just criticism, it was a declaration of war. Because behind palace doors, loyalty is everything. And once loyalty breaks, nothing ever returns to normal. Meanwhile, in Hollywood, the criticism wasn't slowing down, it was multiplying. Howard Stern's confusion turned into frustration. He couldn't reconcile Meghan's demand for privacy with her continued presence in front of cameras. To him, it wasn't escape, it was performance. He saw a couple who claimed victimhood while simultaneously capitalizing on their story. Katie Hopkins sharpened her attacks even further, framing Meghan as the ultimate contradiction, a woman who preached environmental responsibility while flying private jets, who spoke about humility while signing massive entertainment deals, who positioned herself as misunderstood while maintaining global visibility. Lord Alan Sugar dismissed her claims of institutional neglect, arguing that the palace had always provided support to its members. His disbelief didn't just challenge Meghan's narrative, it emboldened others others to question it too. And Chris Rock's public mockery ensured that Meghan's story wouldn't just be debated in private conversations, it would be dissected on global stages. Suddenly, Meghan wasn't just controversial, she was polarizing. Some saw her as brave, others saw her as manipulative. Some saw her as a victim, others saw her as an architect of her own narrative. And perhaps the most painful fracture of all wasn't public, it was personal. Because while Meghan and Harry stood together against the world, cracks were forming under the pressure of isolation, expectation, and constant scrutiny. Howard Stern's speculation about their marriage wasn't random. It reflected a question millions had quietly begun asking themselves. Could their love survive the chaos it had created? Because the truth was undeniable. Meghan's arrival had changed everything. She hadn't just disrupted the royal family. She had disrupted Hollywood, celebrity alliances, public perception, and even her own past. Elton John's silence spoke volumes. Chris Rock's jokes carried uncomfortable truths. Katie Hopkins' attacks exposed contradictions. Trevor's mailed ring symbolized emotional finality. Camilla's distrust revealed institutional resistance. And through it all, Meghan Markle remained at the center, not retreating, not disappearing, but continuing forward, reshaping her identity in real time while the world argued about who she really was. Was she a misunderstood outsider crushed by an ancient institution? Or was she a master strategist who had outgrown every environment she entered? The answer depended entirely on who you asked. Because in the end, Meghan Markle didn't just marry into royalty. She became something far more powerful. She became a symbol of ambition, of disruption, of reinvention, loved by millions, resented by others. And while the crown still stands, its image was permanently altered the moment Meghan Markle stepped into its shadow. Because whether people supported her or opposed her, one truth could never be denied. She didn't just enter the royal story, she rewrote it. She rewrote it. She rewrote it. She rewrote it.